Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Ignite with Mwangala. I'm your host, Mwangala Chakalashi Santos. Now, like I always say, this show is all about inspiring and leaving a positive and a lasting impact on your lives. Today's story is very life-changing. When I was told I was going to be chatting with Daniel Mbazima, his story left me His story left me with aha moments. And I know that after this story, we will all look at life in a different way. So Daniel Mbazima struggled with addiction, and he's been clean for the last 3 years. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, sir.
Okay,
Glad to be here.
Yeah. You're looking good, and I know you're clean now for 3 years, right?
Yes, sure.
Okay, so Daniel, I know that you had gone to Russia for school. Mm-hmm. You were studying medicine.
Yeah.
Came back, not as a doctor, but as a different Daniel. Take us through that story.
Okay, so I went to school to study medicine. Mm-hmm. Like you said, in Russia. I'm not really saying Russia is a bad place and everything. It was just me. Yeah. So I went to study medicine. And when I went there, I always had a passion for music. For me, it was a thing of interacting with other people and getting to find out about the music from the other countries. And there's no greater feeling than when you're away and your song plays. I don't know what your favorite Zambian song is, and then it plays when you're somewhere far away from home. It makes you feel at home. So because of my interest in other people's music, I began playing at birthday parties, and from there I graduated to playing at school events. And from school events, it was all over the place. Mm-hmm. So it was a good experience before everything else happened. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So fast forward 2 days before your graduation, and you're told you're not going to graduate. What was that like?
It was pretty hard because prior to that, in my fourth year, I had gotten expelled because of drug-related issues. So it was drugs and alcohol. But the time I got expelled during my fourth year, it wasn't that much. It wasn't really too difficult. But then this time, when I got expelled, I was graduating on a Friday and I got kicked out on a Wednesday. The reason I was expelled was that I wasn't able to take care of myself, and therefore I wasn't able to take care of other people as well. And the other reason was that I couldn't be a product of that university because that was the third best university in Russia. And I think around the 8th in Europe around the time. So they really didn't want anything to do with me. And I was an example as well. Yeah.
Okay. So I know that you're a pastor's son.
Yeah.
Do you think that put pressure on your life?
Not really. I think my issues started later on in life. All along, it was okay. Yeah.
Okay. So fast forward, you come back to Zambia, and then what happens?
Well, when I came back to Zambia, actually, my depression started before I even landed in Zambia, because before that, I had called my parents, and I had told my mom specifically. I've always been close with my mom. I told her there's something that I really need to get off my chest. I really need to talk to you. And she was like, no problem, just come through and everything. But it was different. On my side, it was different. Over here, it was different. So on the flight, I was surrounded by all these guys. Everybody was a doctor. Everybody was enjoying. Everybody was celebrating. And these guys were looking at me and telling me like, wow, man, you really had this lifestyle in over there that we were looking forward to. And you had all the girls, you had all the parties and this and that. You really enjoyed it. And look at us, we were doctors together, but they didn't know that I was actually expelled. So from there, it began to sink in. I was surrounded by everybody who came back as somebody, but for me, I was an addict and I was an alcoholic. And that's when my depression began to kick in. At the airport, I met my mother, not only alone, as promised, but she had my pastor, my relatives, my friends. Everybody was there to receive me. So it was really heartbreaking at that moment. Yeah.
Okay, so they were all excited, thinking they're receiving the doctor Daniel Mbazima, but it was not to be that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened when you came here? There's a story that I read on Facebook where you had written exactly, how you almost committed suicide.
Yeah.
Can you relive that story?
Okay, so what had happened was, even the time that I had landed, I was looking at the other side, and there was this guy who was an orphan, and he had a sister who came all the way from Mongo to Intercity and walked from Intercity to the airport. And if you could see the joy that they were sharing among themselves, it was really something. This was really something there. But yet I had everybody else, and yet I was empty. And that's the thing with depression. You might be smiling on the outside but crying on the inside. So as time went on, it began to have a toll on me. I was looking at people I was with in primary school, and these guys were working, everybody was doing fine, and I was nothing. I was an addict, I was an alcoholic. And even when it came to social media, I was actually off Facebook before writing the story for quite some time because it was depressing. I would see my friends getting jobs, getting married, going on vacation, buying new cars, and to me, I couldn't do all these things. And before that, the issue with addiction is it doesn't affect the person. The people that suffer the most are the family, because the person is doing something that they love, and then on the other hand, the family is watching somebody become something that they hate, or somebody they never thought that the person would be. Like another example that I like to give is two diseases. Let's talk about cancer and HIV. When somebody has cancer, they take chemotherapy. It makes them feel well, makes them feel alive again, stops the cancer cells from progressing. Somebody has HIV, they take ARVs, makes them feel well, boosts their immune system. But when somebody has addiction, alcoholism is different. The person goes back to take something that continuously kills them. Another example also is when somebody is involved in an accident or something bad happens to the person and they're in hospital. Life goes on. You still go to work, you still go to school, but when you meet, you share this bond. You have faith, you have love, you have hope, and a lot of prayer that the person will be okay. When somebody's an addict or an alcoholic, it's different. It rips the family apart. Personal relationships are broken. The person is still to feed out their addiction, and also you don't get to see eye to eye. There's a lot of blame with the parents. There was an extent where I heard my mom praying once, and she said, Lord, cure him or kill me because I cannot take this anymore. That's how bad it was. With my sisters, we never used to see eye to eye as well. So it was pretty, pretty bad. So with the depression, then came in the drugs, and drugs are easily accessible here. So it reduced from the cocaine, the heroin, and everything else. It was mostly the codeine and the weed and the booze. So in between that, it was pretty rough. Like, it was really, really rough.
Where you've talked so much of your mom being a part of the whole process. Where was your father at the time? Did he know that you were actually suffering from depression? Other than the addiction, of course.
That's the thing with addiction and alcoholism. Everybody focuses so much on them, and then we forget about the whole depression factor. For instance, even when you go to church, when somebody is stealing or it's a fornicator, most people say, get rid of the fornication and the stealing and get closer to God. But for addiction, on the other hand, people say, get closer to God and get rid of the alcoholism and addiction. It doesn't work that way. So everybody focused on the alcoholism and the addiction, and they forgot about the depression. So it was during that time that I had moved out of the house, and I was moving to and from, in between friends, sleeping at clubs, sleeping at funerals, just to get something. That's what led to that story eventually.
Okay, now I know in that story you give a lot of details, and that's what I'd like you to give on the show, because I know what you went through is not for you, but for the person out there who's battling with addiction of alcohol or drugs, as we say. So can you give us a little bit details on exactly what happened? I know you were rescued by a young girl. Is she around? Have you been in touch with her?
Okay. So when it came to the story, about the young girl, I'm not really sure. So when it came to the story, I was coming from a friend's place, and I was walking by and I saw a man loading some cement and stuff. So he stopped me and he asked for some help. So I began helping him, and as I was helping him, we began talking. And he told me, you really sound different from what you look like. So I gave him an excuse, in Zambia, things I had and everything and stuff like that. And he gave me 100 kwacha at the end of it all. And I was holding dollars a couple of years back, but I hadn't held 100 kwacha in a very long time. And for me, it was like heaven on earth. I mean, every junkie, every addict, you give them money, it's something. So I went to Chiwale and I got everything I could get my hands on. And I said, I'm going to get high alone. No friends, no nothing. So when I came back, apparently, I sort of overdosed. And that's what led to, I woke up in a drainage. So when I woke up, I was a bit of in a mix, a bit of confused. I was hungry, I was tired, I was cold, I was shivering. And a lot of people were surrounding me. This is in Matera. So everybody knew me as a junkie. And people were coming by like, Kondamo, here's a cafe and stuff like that.
Yeah, true.
Everybody kept walking by and people were coming by. And
so
because
everybody
it's Lusaka,
knew Kondamo?
Yeah, everybody knew me. Everybody knew me. And because it's Lusaka, it was raining, everybody left. And at that moment, I was alone. And that's the time when I started thinking about suicide. And I had already thought about it. The difference is this time I had the courage to do it. And one thing I like saying about suicide is sometimes you feel when you go, you're going to ease the pain on everybody else. People say people who commit suicide, they're usually selfish, but that's not the case. Sometimes, like in my case, I thought, I've been a problem too much. I've tried seeking for help. Nobody really wants to help me. There's nobody to listen. Everybody thinks it's my fault. And sort of it was my fault, yeah. But then at that moment, I was alone. And this time I had the courage. Most people do think about it, but when you have the courage, it's just something else. So I was thinking I would go lie down, position myself in such a way that a car would run over me, just my brain, and that's it, I'm gone. But then the only thing that was preventing me from going was the drainage that was in front of me. So I was thinking of crawling to the other side and then getting off and getting over the drainage and going to the car. And in that moment, I began to think about life, you know. I was thinking, I'm like, but I've had a good childhood. Where did I go wrong? You know, all those feelings of regret started running through me. Those were my last thoughts. If I had died that moment, those could have been my last thoughts. And words are very powerful. All of a sudden, a girl came to me, and I remember everything. She had pink bag, blue and white uniform, and she says, since you want to kill yourself, why don't you just go sleep on the road? That's the only thing that I needed. And for me, that was the assurance. That was the moment that defined it all. And for the first time, I say, this girl is right. There's nothing I have to live for. And as I was thinking about that, I began to move a bit. I didn't really care about the drainage and everything. The reason I didn't fall in is I didn't want to pay for death. I just wanted to go. That's it. And I was crawling to get over the drainage the other side. That's the time that my mom showed up. And she had been looking for me for months. And she came towards me, and she stopped, and she hugged me. And I began crying. I was saying, Mom, I'm sorry.
Wow.
And she told me, son, it's okay, it's okay. You don't have to worry. All you have to do is just come back home. And till this day, we laugh and we joke about how she managed to carry me over the drainage. Because, yeah, she did carry me, and I went home. There were relapses in between, but thank God I overcame.
Wow. So we take a short break, Daniel. When we come back, you take us through your recovery journey.
Sure.
So if you're joining us now, I am talking to Daniel Mbazima, and we take a short break. When we come back, he takes us through his journey of recovery. Don't go away.
To advertise on this program and enjoy amazing introductory rates, please call us on +260 211 290959 or +260 211 290912 or +260 953 538 000. Or send us an email at loyolazam@gmail.com.
Welcome back, and I'm talking to Daniel Mbazima. So Daniel, before we went on break, you're just taking us through the story where you almost committed suicide. And I know there are so many people out there that have actually thought of committing suicide. So in that moment, what goes through somebody?
Well, a lot of things go through somebody's mind when it comes to committing suicide. And you see, our feelings and our emotions are our biggest form of expression. That's why it's really important for you to listen. When somebody is talking to you about anything, when they're drinking and they're complaining, it's very important for you to listen. Most of the people who commit suicide actually want to talk about certain things. But if you noticed, last year we had a lot of cases where people committed suicide, and most of them were guys. That's because when you open up as a guy, somebody will tell you, let's go have a drink over it. You know what I mean?
And it ends there.
Yeah. Talking about certain things, for instance, such as having a heartbreak, sexual dysfunction, finances, are a taboo when it comes to men and stuff like that. So when you have a drink over it, and then one thing I've noticed about it is when you go to sleep, you wake up, you're weaker, your problems are stronger.
Yeah.
That's what happens. So it's really, really important to listen to these people and stuff like that. But for me, in my moment, I looked at myself as a failure. I looked at myself as not having any hope. And I thought the best for me was just to leave.
Wow. So in that moment, when you were going through what you were going through, you've just talked about something that is very profound and important. Did you ever open up to anybody, considering that your father is still a pastor, right? Did you at any moment sit with him and just try and, pour out your frustrations?
Well, I did, but I had done a lot of questionable things. It became a thing towards me where approaching them was almost a non-starter. That's the reason why I left home, because I had hurt them a lot. I had physically fought with my dad, beat up my mom a couple of times, fought with my sisters as well. So to me, I had done certain things that really didn't make me own up to them. But I had a very supportive family. Having a supportive family is key to it. And I think my family realized that in this case, it wasn't about them really, it was about me. I was the person that wasn't okay. So most of the times when I talk to people and then I talk to the families, I hear the parents always say, no, I spent a lot on this kid. I did this, I've given him everything. What you're doing is talking about yourself and what you have done. It's not really about you, it's about the other person. That's the person who's not okay. So for once, shift your attention and then take it to the person. At least I had a very supportive family. They didn't really know how to handle the situation in the beginning, but eventually they began reading, especially during my relapse periods. That was the time after my mom came through, and then I was home. And I didn't really change there and then because I was having issues like cravings. I mean, I was on 5-6 different drugs at a time. So it was not really easy for me to come out. And when the craving hits you, no matter how strong you are, when you have to go, you have to go. It's a really difficult thing. So my family did a lot of research on addiction, and it was too much, but then they were very supportive.
Okay. So you've said you've been clean for the last 3 years now.
Yes.
So how does one come through? I mean, you're talking about cravings. I can only imagine. How do you overcome the cravings? What was that journey like for you?
Okay. So firstly, it's important to admit that you have a problem.
Which you did.
Yes, I did admit that I had a problem. And for me, it was an issue of saying, I'm tired of failing my parents, I'm tired of failing my sisters, I'm tired of failing everybody else. This time I will not fail myself. That was the thing that I gave myself. I said, if I do, fine, maybe the suicide will work out, but this time I will not fail myself. So you need to realize whatever you've done, you're not responsible for your problems and everything you've done, but you're responsible for your own recovery. So you really need to accept and realize, okay, this is a problem. This really is killing me. That's the starting point.
Okay, so step one, acknowledging that I have this problem.
Yeah.
Okay, and
acknowledging
then
that
step
you have a problem. Step 2 now depends on your addiction. For me, I could get high every 3 hours. So within 3 hours, it's either I drink, it's either I smoke, or either I jab myself. But it reached a point where the drugs were too much for me. I had to take something really strong. And when I'm talking about drinking within the 3 hours, I'm not talking about the normal drinking. I'm talking about if it's drinking, I have to get drunk.
Within 3 hours?
Yes.
So every 3 hours you'd get drunk?
Every 3 hours, either drunk or high. That's how it was.
Okay, so your recovery journey, in the next 3 hours, what then do you do when those cravings come?
So you look at your 3 hours.
Yeah.
Some people, they take a day. Others is 6 hours, others is 12 hours. So you look at your addiction and everything. For me, I looked at my 3 hours. I said, I'm going to get sober for these 3 hours. So after the 3 hours, after getting sober, I had a few fails here and there, but then I would extend it to the 6 hours, just like that. As time went on, it was a day. So I would get sober for a day. I would make myself busy reading a lot. And while I was doing that, the day turned into another day. That was 48 hours. And as time went on, that was a week, a month, and so on and so on. Eventually, years and stuff like that. But the biggest problem is you can't get sober if you want to do the things that you used to do before. You cannot say, I'll go to the club. The biggest problem is booze. You cannot say, I'll go to the club, I won't drink, I'll just hang around. No. Addiction and alcoholism control the places you go to, the people you mingle with, and what you do. So you have to stay away completely. You're talking about a transformation of your life. The problem is it does get boring, and people sort of tend to come out and everything. But if you're doing it for yourself, you have to be tired.
Yeah.
Another thing is people need to realize. For me, I realized, I said, I think now I know that I do not know. I mean, I had all this medical knowledge. I had all this spiritual knowledge because my dad is a pastor and everything. So I was sort of ignorant. I thought I knew it all. But you need to realize, now I know I do not know. And it's okay to seek help. Yeah.
Okay. I think you've said something that is very, very important, especially for somebody who's struggling with addiction, is to give yourself wins, pat on the back, small little baby steps.
Exactly.
I think that's what a lot of people ignore. So for every 3 hours, you pat yourself on the back.
Yeah.
For another 3 hours, you pat yourself on the back. So now, 3 years. How many relapses have you had in the last 3 years?
The first year, when I went home, I had issues. So until then, now I have been 3 years sober and clean. No substance and everything. The only time I come into contact with something is when I'm dealing with the people that I'm talking to. So it's also very difficult for me to be found in places where I will be forced to drink or get high. Yeah, from time to time, because it's somebody's birthday, I have to go out. Maybe hit the club or go out eating and everything. Those are things I cannot avoid. I go to a funeral, people are drinking. I go to a wedding, people are getting high and stuff like that. There's certain things that I cannot avoid, but I have been clean all along for the past 3 years.
Wow. I like your honesty. I mean, you've talked about not going to places where you'll be tempted. I think we're talking about temptation here, isn't it?
Exactly.
So how do you fight that temptation? Because I know it's not easy. I know you cannot completely stay away from the clubs or stay away from parties. Now, if you found yourself in such places, how do you fight that temptation?
I would like to quote one of my favorite mentors, T.D. Jakes. He says the reason we need a mirror is because you can see everybody else and then you cannot see yourself.
Yeah.
And because of you not seeing yourself, you need people in your inner circle that will control you and tell you when things are going wrong. So I have a very strong support system. I have about 3 friends, that's it. And these people correct me and they put me in place. So I cannot make a move without these people.
Yeah.
And when I'm alone also, I do a lot of reading. And the more you help other people, the more you help yourself as well. That's just how it works. So I do a lot of reading. I have a strong supportive system and I keep myself busy as well. Yeah.
Okay. So those 3 friends, are they intentional friends? Did you just pick them to say these will be my friends, or these are people that have committed to see to it that you are completely clean from your addiction?
I think when you live a certain life of recovery, certain people just come through. Like you sort of attract certain people. I didn't really choose them, but these are the people that I know are the right people for me.
Wow.
So I keep up with them, and most of the time also helping other people. And when I sense danger, especially when I'm feeling low, that's the problem.
Yeah.
When you're feeling low, it's very easy for you to get something.
Pull back, yeah.
Or when you're too excited. So you have to watch your emotions.
Oh, wow. So any of the extremes is bad?
Any of the extremes is bad for an addict and alcoholic.
Okay.
Yes. So you really need to know yourself. And one of the things I work on is mind building skills. For instance, the fastest example I'll give is many people wake up today, apply makeup, look good, cosmetics and everything stuff, go out, and then you meet these people and then they're angry. You just bump into someone and then all of a sudden people are just rude. That's because people take care of the physical appearance not the inner appearance. Yeah. Okay. So for me, when I wake up in the morning, I remind myself every day, I look at where I'm coming from. Yeah. And for me, it's very difficult because I've tried the road of drugs and alcohol. It really didn't work out on me. And I got tired of it. So far, the road of recovery is okay.
Fantastic. Yeah. So if you were on your deathbed today and you were given a second chance to live, what would you do differently?
I wouldn't do much differently except the part where I hurt my mom the most. Yeah. And my family. I think that's one of the biggest regrets. Yeah.
So would you say you're living a life of regrets?
Not really. Yeah, I made amends to them, but the act, I'm human. The fact that you do something, it sort of comes back at some point. I've gotten over it, but it's something I'm not proud of doing.
Okay.
Everything else I'm over here.
What is your truth?
My truth is the past is everything we were. It doesn't define who we are.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Daniel, thank you so much for coming to this show. I believe that we all go through certain things in life for the benefit of others. I think whatever we go through, wrapped around it, is a gift. And I know that you are the gift to this world. And we pray that you keep teaching, you keep impacting, and you keep changing those lives.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having you on Ignite.
Thank you. Before we go, I have something for you too.
Wow.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so you mentioned to say today's your birthday.
Yes.
Yeah, I know this is the first time we're meeting, but I have something for you.
Okay.
Sure.
Hi.
Happy birthday to you.
Wow.
Happy birthday to you.
There you go.
Happy birthday, dear Mwangala. Happy birthday to you.
This makeup is expensive.
Happy birthday.
Wow.
So happy birthday.
Daniel, thank you so much.
Sure.
I think you should come on Ignite every episode.
I definitely
because
will.
every episode will be like a birthday.
Sure.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. And that's me on the cake.
That's you.
Can the camera pick this? Wow. Can I turn it around? Wow. That's me. Thank you so much to my Ignite with Mwangala team, and of course the entire Loyola TV management. I said thank you so much. I don't know what I'm gonna do today. Daniel, what do you think I should do? Should I take a glass of wine? Am I allowed to take a glass of wine?
You're not an alcoholic, so it's only today. Only for today. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Wow, this has been Mwangala Chakalashi Santos on Ignite with Mwangala. Join me for another exciting episode.